Hello everyone and welcome, Azjenco here, and today we're getting our paws all over the exciting indie title Stray as we ask ourselves if it's a title worth playing. Stray is a game that's been launched to prominence and became quite the sleeper hit. It's brought to us by Blue 12 Studio, a French developer that consists of a handful of humans and oodles of cat passion that's infused into the very core of this game. You can literally see, feel and hear how the developers are cat lovers themselves. These fine people know cats. Their lives revolve around cats. I should only recognize the forms of animal behaviors that went into the game if you were utter cat fanatics. As a cat obsessive myself to a studio that went out and made my dream game, I feel obliged to say thank you, and can I also request that you make a lot more cat games in the future. As far as looking into this small free game that exploded on the scene, what is it that actually makes this small little cat game that good work so well? Right off the bat, there's this thick clawing atmosphere to the environment. As our little stray protagonist plunges into the seedy, gritty landscape of a dilapidated world, you'll need to explore some amazing looking environments that's been meticulously laid out for you. The devs could have easily taken one of our current everyday cities and we would have had a perfectly fine cat adventure right there. Instead, Blue 12 went the extra mile and crafted a beautifully grimy world in all its run-down post-apocalyptic glory, and you can't help but pause to inspect its every nook and cranny. And since you're playing a cat, you'll have a good old time slapping things off surfaces as you claw your way through the setting. That is by far the best part of the game, just being a cat and how well the controls gets your feline down to a T. The idea to have a designated meow button is just perfection. Hello. Hey, how are you? As the game prompts you onward, you'll feel like a natural born feline leaping between obstacles or fitting through tight spots, maybe getting some scratches in or just plain making yourself comfortable. There are more than a few instances where a game of this type could fall flat, and at the top of this list would be the controls. Getting it right is critical to the experience. If the gameplay is outright bad, then that's one thing, but if your cat handling isn't exactly right, you'd feel something's off, then the game just wouldn't click the way that Stray does. I think that embodies a major part of why players are so in love with this game. You get the authentic cat adventure here, from nimble and graceful to the playful and explorative parts of a cat's life. The game is all about being a cat and the controls play into this perfectly. I did mention there's a meow button, right? Of course I did. There's another huge aspect of Stray that you need to be aware of before jumping in. Stray is a relaxing game. You certainly have your action-packed portions that get quite nail-biting, that much is true, but none of it overshadows the game. They feel more like momentum peaks in an otherwise calming experience. Most of what you do is explore the environment as you're solving obstacles along the way, all the while absorbing this superb setting. That's pretty much what forms the heart of the game. You could rush your way through Stray, then you'd be missing out on a lot of fun moments and cool world building details. Not that I'm dumping on speedrunning at all, there are already some great videos out there on just that. What I am saying is, if exploring, meeting some quirky characters and solving puzzles sound far less enticing than a constant pulse-pounding ride, then this might not be the game for you. As I said though, you still have some action-packed moments where you'll face the strange little antagonist of the game called the Zurks. Not quite the Zurk you're thinking of. Actually, they might remind you a bit of some other face-jumping baddies you've seen elsewhere. These will be the nasties getting on your nerves as you get chased down the streets and all around obstacles where you try to keep your poor little Stray alive. It should be mentioned, as relaxing as the game can be, you can still die, so stay alert and keep those cat-like reflexes razor sharp. Taking into account the gameplay and setting, rolled into a package with some really detailed graphics, Stray might seem familiar as it basically boils down to an adventure game in a dystopian setting. Playing the game, however, makes for such a unique experience. Off the top of my head, I can't think of a game like this, where you straight up play as an animal that goes out of its way to reflect a more realistic portrayal. Even the world itself, with all of its cyberpunk cityscapes and the robot chums that you'll encounter throughout, depicts many recognizable elements, but still ends up feeling fresh. The way you interact with these fine folk and how they respond to you is pulled off in heartfelt ways, especially with their emote display faces that'll change with their moods or personalities. You can't help but fall in love with them. When talking about your robotic friends, it's impossible not to mention a certain tiny drone who will accompany you on your journey. Faithful B12 will bear the brunt of your more technical button prompts as he interfaces with devices and carries out communications on your behalf. He'll basically be the voice of the world to you as a player. There's a lot going on all around you, so he frames the narrative quite well as you guide your feline self through the dystopian ruins. Even with the game's world as run down as it is, I actually found Stray to be an optimistic tale. Among the robots you encounter, you'll find many friendly faces and the personal stories of how they're going on about their lives. Here I could get a bit too close to some of the story elements that'll cross the line into spoiler territory, and I'd much rather avoid that. So let me just say, this isn't quite one of those machine takeover plots that we've seen so many times before. It's hopeful and it's charming in so many ways, but also sad in many others. And this is a world you'll miss long after the credits have rolled. And in my books, that makes for a pretty great game that is definitely a title worth playing. This is just my take on the game of Stray. Do you feel the same, or do you have some different thoughts that you'd like to share? Let me know in the comments down below. If you'd like to see more indie and classic gaming content, feel free to subscribe and drop a like if you enjoyed the video. Thanks for stopping by, and I'll see you in the next one.